What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the Business of Strength podcast, the show for gym owners where you can turn your passion for strength into a profitable business you will love. I'm here again with my amazing business partner in crime, Dan Goodman.
What's happening, everyone?
And in today's episode, we're talking about the silent killer of the gym business, and that's attrition, and how to effectively mitigate clients leaving your gym. Most gym owners think that the biggest problem is not enough leads, but the truth is most of you don't have a lead problem, you have a leak problem, and you are leaking clients consistently. You're not measuring the exit of clients. You have no idea how many people are losing, and you're not mitigating that and ensuring up that process. You got to plug up those leaks. So if you don't fix it, you'll never get ahead. But first, before we get to teaching you how to do it, a couple words from some of our amazing partners. First up, I want to give a shout out to our friends over at Ignite Entrepreneur, the #1 marketing, digital ads, and CRM service. Head over to Ignite Entrepreneurs. They will help you automate, systemize, and professionalize your digital marketing. Simmons Media, bring your brand to life. Matt Simmons and his crew are sitting here right now in Simmons' amazing studio down in Westchester, PA. They have done an exceptional job helping us improve our social media, bring our media to life. Everything you need from graphic design, podcast studio, photo shoots.
Slimming cameras,
right, to make us look jacked and tan. They've done an exceptional job helping us really improve and professionalize our marketing. And one of our newest partners, TurnKey Coach. TurnKey Coach is a one-stop shop for taking your training platform to the next level, digitizing, professionalizing, and systemizing your training through a highly competent, automated digital platform that allows you to connect and communicate with your clients in a way never before. So you can really, really improve your product and retention. They've done an exceptional job. We're excited about the future of working with TurnKey Coach. We got a lot of cool stuff coming out with them. Dan, I mean, in true life, right, years ago, we ran a massive, challenges. We were crushing it. We were really, really busy, and we would sign up, 50, 60 clients in that one campaign, right? And then we would slowly lose clients over a period of months. We'd run another big campaign, sell more clients, lose clients over a period of month. And it was kind of like this, up, down, and we never really measured attrition. I remember me and you used to have almost like some animosity towards it, where it was like, we don't lose clients. And I remember obviously, speaking with Mike Waldron, and we would have all these excuses and reasons why clients left the gym. And he was like, guys, I remember him banging on the table and stuff. I was like, guys, just stop talking. He's like, I don't give a shit what your reasons are. He's like, they're not paying anymore. That's all that matters. He's like, if they're not paying clients, they're not clients.
The toughest part about Mike is he probably didn't curse or raise his voice. He just delivers it so matter of factly, I think, which makes it sting even worse.
Yeah, he just, well, they're not paying. It's like, yeah.
It really wasn't until we got to between 150 and 170 clients in our original location, and we couldn't break through the number. And we really didn't know why, because we were marketing, we had a plan.
Yep. Training was great.
But we weren't measuring our lifetime client value at that time.
Yep.
And we weren't measuring why people were leaving.
Yep. And we had no mitigation,
no system
to mitigate it.
It was just good training.
Thinking about good training, but that's not enough. And, months after we would run these big campaigns, or we'd have a huge summer for athletes. Obviously, athlete attrition is a little bit different because kids are more cyclical with their training seasons and so forth. But we'd have 75 kids train over the summer and go to 25. Mm-hmm. Like, oh my God, and we weren't prepared for it. We didn't have systems set up to stop that in its tracks, and it really became a painful lesson. And we were spending thousands on ads. We were spending tremendous amounts of time and energy hustling on the floor, going to workshops, going to games, going to events, we went to every football game, every wrestling meet, every track meet, and it was like, what the hell's going on here? We can't figure this out. So, it hit us like a ton of bricks. But retention is revenue, and you look at it now when we're talking about retention. If at our HQ where the goal is 400 members and we're, just under that mark in a sense, if let's just for round numbers in the sake of math, say that we have 400 members exactly there, based on the average rate of attrition of 5%, we're going to lose 20 members a month. That's a serious number for a business. If you can cut that down.
To break even.
And
if we want to break even.
You have to sell 20 members a month in order to stay at 400 members, right? So, and that was a realization that we just, whoa, wait a minute. So my marketing, I want to gain 50 members this year. I said, okay, well, it's 50 plus the attrition number. So if you have 400 members and you're going to lose you're going to lose 20. Yeah, it's 290 a year, not 50.
Yeah.
Like I got to sell 290
You got to sell a member
memberships
every day.
Every day, right? And it's like that realization is usually like usually that's when we see like they're not crying in front of us, but they're crying inside. Look, I'm not crying, you're crying.
You got to know your math here.
Yeah.
And the math on this is it's having a goal of like what is that retention number you're looking for. Let's call it 5%. You can't count, or at least Waldron doesn't allow us to count the people that have never left because they've ever left. So you have to tally up all the people that have left, and that's where you get your attrition number. So it's if you have 100 clients and you're losing 5 people a month, that would be 5% attrition. You do 5 times 12, that means that you are going to lose 60 people annually, right?
Yeah.
That's the math.
Yeah. I mean, and again, it's not just lost revenue, it's lost opportunity, right? Because how much energy and effort does it take to finally get somebody going, get them off their couch and doing the thing? And they do that, and then they leave, and now you have to start the process all over again. And again, the analogy that we've used before is like every time it'd be like dating a new person every couple of months. It's like you have to start the whole process of, the first date, the getting to know each other, all that stuff over again, the getting comfortable, right? And those are clients that could have referred people. Those are clients who could have maybe done your 6-week transformation or bought a nutrition program. So it's way easier to get people to stay and keep them happy than it is to go get new people, right? You got to spend a lot of money on acquisition. So that, that those 60 clients that you lost, honestly, it could be like 120 because of lost referrals, lost opportunities and stuff like that, right? So when you think about it that way, it's a bigger number. And here's the kicker, and this is a fact from, all the stats, that it costs about 5 to 7 times more money to acquire a new client than it does to keep the clients you have using some of the defensive strategies that we'll outline for you today, right? So like, again, when it comes to marketing spend, marketing energy, it's about 5 to 7 times more than it is to just keep the people you have. Because remember, people don't like change. So once you get them in and you get them going, they're way more, opt to stay, right? Because they're finally doing the thing, right?
People like routine.
Mm-hmm. So, the first lesson that we learned on when we started to separate, kind of offensive and defensive playbook, right? Where offensive is getting those new leads and defense is keeping the leads we have, or keeping the people we have happy. And that's where kind of the idea of the community manager role started to come to fruition, and having somebody on the staff whose main job was to spotlight, highlight, and, make exceptional the experience that the clients that we currently have in the business every day. And so, but the number one lesson was to stop just chasing leads and focus some of your ad dollars and your energy dollars, meaning your, the time that you spend on the inside of your business as well. And that was a real transition for us. And, so we started asking ourselves, like, why do clients actually leave? Like, what's the reasons here? Why do people, leave the gym? And it's usually not what people think. It's not because your product sucks. It's because you degrade it in attention. They didn't felt, heard. We talk a lot about the erosion in consistency. There's inconsistency in the training plan. There's inconsistency. You were talking about this the other day in our meeting, in our team meeting. It's like, hey, we are at a point in our business. We are too big, too professional, and charging too much money to have broken equipment sitting in the gym. If something breaks, it gets fixed immediately because if somebody's paying $400 to $600 a month and the ski ergs are always broken, at some point it's like, yo, fuck this. Like I'm going somewhere else. Like people, look, you never know what's going to piss somebody off.
Think about a high-end hotel.
Right.
Like if it's broken, like the hotel is not going to allow a broken chair to sit in the lobby. They're getting rid of it.
Yes.
They're getting rid of it.
Yes. And that was a great analogy. You said, look, I don't want it on the training floor. If it's broken, it gets removed from the training floor so people don't see it and it's not a eyesight issue. And 2, we get it fixed immediately. Like we have the money, we have the person that we use to fix stuff. Get their ass here immediately. Like there's no excuse for that. Or we just again in the case of a ski erg or a rower or something like that, I get it that it's a $1,000 piece of equipment. We're lucky enough that we're at the point now where it's like, yo, if that shit's broken 2 or 3 times, throw that thing in the garbage and get a new one. Like, just figure it out, and we'll bitch it.
Or sell it, because there's always people that are willing to buy all your broken shit on Facebook Marketplace.
For sure.
And they'll know it's broken.
Yeah, and they still, but look, going from a commercial use to home use, like something could last 2 decades at home.
Yeah,
versus.
Let me just give you an example. I went last night. We were picking up soccer cleats for the Chase man. Yes, he's playing soccer. You give it a shot there. But we walked past LA Fitness. LA Fitness, I'm walking past, and obviously as a gym person, I walk past. There's a pool. I'm not sure, it looked all right. But there's a ton of equipment. There's a ton of people in there. I think you have to remember, most people that are listening to this probably not, LA Fitness goers. And if you are, that's fine. But, the reality is there's so many options. And last night it was further proof. I hadn't walked by an LA Fitness and actually peered inside, and it's got to be years.
You're talking about the one on 17?
Yes.
The place packed all the time.
All the time. It was freaking packed.
That's where Adele used to go.
And it was packed, and they probably haven't put a nickel into the place in 20 years. But most people are listening to this, you're trainers that are trying to charge $200, $300, $400 a month. In order to do that, what are we doing to separate? And it's a great segue into talking about attrition. But what we are in the business of selling is service and accountability and machines that are clean and up to working order. If people don't want that, they could go get LA Fitness, where there's a great Zumba class, there's a pool, there's old equipment for $30 a month, right? You can get that for a very affordable rate. So if you want to charge luxury prices, you got to make sure you're offering a luxury coaching service.
So here's the top reasons why most clients quit and leave. And spoiler alert, it's not your Dead Sea Scrolls of X's and O's training, the proprietary training system that most trainers hold so dear to themselves that nobody can oh my God, nobody can do my training system. Nobody trains like this. Nobody. Right? I've heard that 10,000 times, and I look at the training system like, yeah, dude, I was doing that shit 25 years ago. So here's the reason. One, they don't feel seen. We talked about that a little bit. People don't leave trainers, they leave relationships. They don't give a shit about your X's and O's. They don't care about the brands of your equipment. Most clients don't care about any of that stuff except literally maybe if you're a Division I high-level 5-star recruit and you're thinking about Alabama, Georgia, they're going to sell you on a cool weight room. But for the most part, it's the relationship with the coaching staff, the offensive, defensive coordinator, whatever that's going to be, right? So they leave relationships. Have you built relationships, and are your trainers personable? Do you have some type of relationship building model and standards set up in your gym? We've talked about it before. We're not going to unpack that whole thing here, but that's called SWIFT in our business, right? Number 2 is no clear progress, right? The clients can't connect the dots between showing up and results, so they lose motivation, right? There's not clear, accountability, attendance reports, progress reports, things like that, right? You're not scoring their wins. 3 is life gets in the way, and that's probably the most common one, and that's the one that's obviously the most outside of the handle of the business. But I also think schedule changes, family demands, travel, things like that. People go through different phases, right? And I look at us personally, the season of Joe and Dan putting in 70 hours a week, 7 days a week, changes once you get married, have a family, and things like that, right? So you got to look at your clientele. And if a lot of people have stuck with you for a long time, and I look at the people that used to come out, it's funny, I was talking to Adele about this the other day, and all the ladies who used to come to Joe Strong back in the day, by 2013, 2012, Tracy Grady was in the gym the other day, and I was talking to Tracy, and obviously she's super OG, and we were reminiscing a little bit about what it was. And now she's much, much older now, obviously, and so are we. And like, those people can't do that shit. If we didn't adapt our training model, and we also went from like rigid 12-month contracts and like you got to show up and you can only come to these classes to like very flexible scheduling, very flexible billing, because people are busy as shit. So you got to adapt there. And last but not least is really poor onboarding. Like, what does the honeymoon phase of their life cycle look like? Like, are you getting them off on the right foot right away? And the first 90 days, is it sloppy? Is they don't build habits in those 90 days, or is it set or forget it? Meaning, like, this person joined, you drop them into a class, and you're off and running to the next new client, right? And they don't get much other attention. So, if you want to remember this line, clients quit emotionally before they quit financially, right? That's a big one. They quit emotionally. They quit on their habits. It's much harder to hold the line on daily habits than it is the dollar, right? And people quit on that quickly. A lot of people in our community, at least, they have plenty of money to train, but they quit because of a lot of other factors. Almost always, it's not generally the money. It's a lot of the other factors involved. And, they stop feeling connected and seeing progress. So let's talk about how we could fix this and really give you some actionable takeaways today so you can, kind of wrap this up and make this something that you tackle. And the first thing we always say, Dan, the first thing is awareness, right? You have to acknowledge what the starting point is. So the first thing would be to do some type of audit on attrition over the last, year. So if it's now, the middle of September, so maybe do quarter one, quarter two, and up through, let's call it up through August, right?
Hey, keep it easy. I mean, the last 3 months, just take all the names that have left. And,
pulling an average.
Pulling an average of against how many people you have in the gyms, and there's your number.
Yeah, and maybe go down the list and call those people again, because a lot of people. Here's another one too, and this is not part of the strategy we have here, but like, I spoke to 2 gym owners in the last 2 weeks, and I said, have you ever lost a client? They're like, yeah, of course. I was like, how many you feel over the last 10 years? You go, oh, probably a couple hundred. I said, all right. Where are those names, numbers, and emails? And when was the last time you called them and asked them to come back? Oh, never. Yeah. Dude, like, if 6 months goes by and you haven't called or reached out to a member who left, you're not doing your job, right? So that's an easy one.
To that point of getting this statistic, and like, let's say it's a one that scares you, like, holy crap, it's 9%. And, I heard on a podcast it should be 5%. The big thing when moving the chains there is don't try to do anything drastically different, right? You can make some changes, but a great goal for you, if it's at 9% right now, is shoot for 8. Like, make it a 1% change. A 1% change over a 3-month period, that could be the difference of saving 3 clients. If you're charging $300 a month and they stay in your vortex of training, I mean,
that's $10,000 a year.
Yeah, like it can make a huge change, and that change compounds. Sahil Bloom was in the gym recently. He said anything above 0 compounds.
I love that saying,
and it's like it is true. Like, if you're wherever you're at, let's just try to make some progress, and we'll give you some things to make some progress. Joe, you talked about clients leaving when they don't feel seen. The number one thing that you can do, let's say you and I are in a gym. And we did this even before we knew what the hell was going on, before we had a true defensive meeting.
Yeah.
Take attendance.
Yeah.
Do you know where your people are at?
And do you know their names?
Do you know their names? Let's say you have 100 clients. I think that's just an easy number to use. Run an attendance report for 100 people in your gym every week. Okay? Matt Simmons is supposed to be here twice this week. He came 0. Where's Matt?
Call Matt.
Call Matt. Like, as simple as that. And you can use tech to flag people that are not using your sessions. Nearly every point of sale does that for you these days. So in terms of people being seen, it's literal before it's figurative.
Yes, and that's one of the processes we'll talk about in a second. So here's the retention playbook, the 5-step retention playbook. Step 1, world-class onboarding. First date, honeymoon phase, show up, right? Most people are going to, if you're going on a date with a girl or a guy, you're probably going to wear the nice outfit, your favorite jeans, put on a nice clean t-shirt, do your hair, put some deodorant on, maybe brush your teeth, right? Hopefully, right? And put your best foot forward.
Axe body spray.
A little Axe body spray. Eating rhubarb. And
he's going to hear that too.
Yeah.
What's up, Ethan?
What's up, Easy? And in the first 90 days are everything, right? So assign. What we do is we assign every new client a coach mentor, right? So you get assigned to a coach that's your guide in a sense.
Liaison.
Your liaison. And whether you train in that person's sessions or not, if you do, it's normally that coach. But if you're coming to classes and stuff like that, somebody gets assigned to monitor your progress over the first period of time. Schedule a weekly check-in. Mike does a great job. Our facility leaders do a great job. Every new client in their first week or two literally gets a check-in every week for a month. It's like, hey, what's it going? What are you feeling? How you doing? We're running attendance reports weekly, right? And send them a welcome package, right? Do you have a great crafted email? Do you give them something? We have our shock and awe pad. We give them an awesome shaker bottle, coffee mug, things like that, right? Some cool swag like magnets, pens, bracelets, little things. But it's just acknowledgement that we care. We want you swagged out with VH stuff and have some fun here.
We talk about this a lot at seminars. I want to dovetail on that point. Use this a lot. We want to give people a reason to talk about us positively at the dinner table. And I'll use an example yesterday. My son just recently started kindergarten, and we're obviously prying, and he just doesn't like most young kids. They don't nothing. And then we're driving along, and it's always in the car.
Yeah.
I was like, and he goes, "Hey, Da, I got on the WOW board at school." I'm like, "What's the WOW board?" And he wanted to talk to me all about it. It's a sticker board, right? But that's what he talked to me about. Nothing, not nothing about the playground, what he learned in school, the friends he's making. He was excited that he made it to the WOW board. That was his reason for talking about that. That's what got in at the dinner table, right? So what type of moments, adults care about that stuff too. And it might just be, I don't have one with me, it could be the $10 gift that they got. It could be the T-shirt that money can't buy. It could be that their client liaison texted them, "Hey, Joe, you did a fantastic job today. I've never had somebody make it for all of their sessions in month 1 in the last year. You should be really proud of yourself." Who's not going to tell their
positive
spouse about
affirmation is one of the key components to getting people
100%.
to adhere to something. If you talked about it in our team meeting this week, if all you do is scream and yell at your kid for the things they don't do and don't affirm and positively affirm the things that they do, you're going to have a real problem.
The statistics of the statistics are overwhelmingly in it was like 92% of actions are to be repeated from positive affirmation. So let's just say you're like, "Wow, Joe, I really like that watch. That's a new watch band." You might think next time you put it on, be like, "Oh, Dan thought that was cool."
Right.
And to wear it again.
Right.
Because we're friends. Like, maybe you'd be like, "Oh, he's got no styles."
No, I mean, the whole point of getting anything is for other people's affirmation. I mean, like,
exactly. You're probably going to do it again.
Of course. So number 2 is progress reviews, right? Mike and the crew have done a great job with this across the board with all our facilities. It's quarterly check-ins, monthly, quarterly check-ins. We actually schedule progress reviews with clients so that and now we're in a sense being militant about that, where it's mandatory that we're scheduling progress reviews. And this is part of one of the things we're working out with TurnKey Coach now is as we switch over our training systems to a new digital database with TurnKey Coach, is having some of those things built into their actual training program. So the data that TurnKey Coach collects can really help us highlight a lot of the wins in their training as opposed to just wins on the scale and things like that, right? So it's like maybe that 50-year-old mom who hasn't seen the inside of a gym in 20 years, who's finally excited about it, her number one concern is losing 10, 20 pounds, and the weight's not moving that good yet, but we have a lot of other data points for them to showcase their success. So there's a lot of things that are kind of reinforcing the positiveness of you're getting fitter, your numbers are going up, the change will come type of thing, right? So you're giving all those types of feedbacks. But, 15 minutes one-on-one with a client once a quarter go a long way, like a long way. And really just asking clients, like, have you reset a goal? Like, you came here to lose 10 pounds, you lost the 10 pounds. What's the next goal? What do you want to hit next? Like Melanie Brennan for a while, who's one of our best clients. She's super fit. She's almost, I don't want to give her name away on the air here, but she's around the 60-year-old mark, right? She's a very fit woman. She's into fitness. She's hit all the goals she came to hit. And it was like one of the goals was, I want to bench press 135. For a 60-year-old woman to bench press 135, a major goal. To do a set of real dead hang pull-ups. Okay, so there's always something that we could push people towards, right? So if you're not measuring people's success in a variety of ways, you're not giving them the carrots. You have to lay out the yellow brick road in a sense. You got to give people those carrots. You got to lay those crumbs out for people to follow, right? Like I always
You're
look at
allowing people to be heard too.
Yeah.
Don't discredit how important that is.
Ask them what exercises they like. We were talking about that this week too. Like, what don't you like to do?
I love when we go. We always use food as an example, but isn't it cool? Like when I go to a nice restaurant, I'll always ask the waiter, "What do you like? What do you like?" And then they'll tell me, and then I'll say and then it's great when they volley the conversation. Like, well, these are the three things. Like, what do you prefer? Or they start asking questions, and they're building they're actually trying to build my experience based on the feedback I'm giving them. You could do the same thing in a gym.
So, to wrap up point number 2, it's whatever people's goals are to get in your gym, you got to get them to the goal, and you got to measure it along the way. Nobody likes to just spin their wheels and do stuff endlessly and never get any better at it. Like Dan and I both ski. At some point, we sucked at skiing, right, when we were kids. If you never got any better, you probably wouldn't have kept up with it, because skiing sucks when you're falling down the mountain, but it's a whole lot of fun when you're able to go to Park City and ski down this beautiful mountain. It's awesome. My wife looks at me like I'm crazy because I know she would kill herself the first couple times, and now at my wife's going to be 50. At 50 years old, it's not worth taking the chance to start. But the reality is that nobody likes doing things that they don't get any better at.
Yeah.
And it's like, if you suck at working out,
things that could hurt.
Yeah, and it's like if you're not something. Look, most of our people aren't gym goers. If you kind of like, fucking working out sucks. Like, I hate having to get up at 6 to come to the gym at 7. It's like, I'd much rather be going to get my pumpkin spice latte and fucking having a bagel, right? And then you don't see any progress, you're going to fall off, like we talked about earlier, you're going to fall off emotionally pretty quickly, right? So that's step 2. Step 3, surprise and delight. And this is something that we've really, taken to heart. This is the community manager role, and that's making people feel special, giving them reasons to talk to their spouses, peers, and loved ones at the coffee table. We're doing it today. It's handwritten cards, it's birthday shout outs, it's unexpected merchandise for no reason. It's really giving people, it's bringing the coffee truck, right? Shout out to our friend Big Dan, the coffee man at To Gather Coffee. He's at the shop multiple times a year at each shop. He's there today in Ridgewood. Free coffee, basically a Starbucks on wheels, but with way better coffee and a way better dude behind the counter. And he comes in, it's just free coffee. We do breakfast sometimes. We do brunch parties, barbells and beers, summer barbecue, you name it. Free seminars, right? Workshops, stuff like that.
Exceeding the expectation.
Yep. Exceed the expectation. We do our discretionary spend. We've talked about that. We have client of the month, right? It amazes me how many gyms we work with in the consulting group who come in and they're down the road a little bit. They're not like a brand new startup. They're a couple $100,000 gym, and they have no like monthly client recognition.
One thing on that, Joe, on the surprise and delight, we just recently we had on Wednesday town hall, I asked everybody, who's your favorite client to train?
Yeah.
And then I just asked, do they know it?
And almost nobody was yes. Yeah.
And nobody was like, no, I have never told them that. I'm like, imagine if they knew that and you actually verbalized it. Like, how cool would that be to be on the receiving end of that? Be like, hey, Gabe, like, always love coming down and seeing you. Like, you always make sure that the creativity's on point and the room's always 62 degrees. So thanks, Gabe. But but
no sweat here in the beat lab.
But
for sure.
Hey, how about just like, it doesn't have to, if you're hearing just like, shit, I don't have hundreds of dollars to spend every month. How about just letting people know that you appreciate their company and their energy, and that they pour into you as much as you're trying to pour into them.
You played sports. I played sports. We're both the dads of 2 young boys who are starting their sports journey. When my son got in his jiu-jitsu school, which is at this point his primary sport, when he got student of the month, when I tell you elated, like eyes wide open, running home, I got to show mommy, we got to get it framed. It's in his room.
And he'll have it forever.
When he got that with his junior, it's like for kids, his junior blue belt, right? That's sitting on his, now he's gone past that, but like that belt and that plaque when he got the ranking in the student of the month is on his bureau, and he still talks about that. And I work with a baseball coach, and just literally 2 days ago was like, hey man, you're one of my favorite kids to work with. He's like, you got it, dude. He's like, you just need, you just keep working on this. You're a really great little kid. Antonio's one of those kids who just doesn't talk much when he just takes coaching really well, and he just kind of sits there and does whatever you tell him to do. And coach was like, hey, you're one of my favorite kids. And he's like, he said, Coach John said I was one of his favorite athletes to work. That little bit of affirmation goes such a long way. It's so impressionable on a little kid, but it's the same thing as adults. I mean, damn, look, even as grown-ass adults who've been in business together for 20 years, when you say something nice about me at a workshop, I feel good about that, and the vice versa, I'm sure. Like, giving props where it's due. I talk about Dan being the best damn CEO, and one of the best decisions in business we ever made was moving him to CEO. Doesn't that feel good? Like, shit, I'm doing my job all right. Like my business partner of 20 years thinks I'm doing a pretty good job. Like, I'm not fucking this up, So, yeah. Right? So that's number 3. Number 4, community and events. How are you bringing people together? What are you physically doing to bring community together, get people to do outside? We're coming up on the Oradell 5K in a few weeks, right? One of our gyms in Oradell. There's a 5K happening. We're getting some tickets. We're going to warm the crew up. We're inviting everybody from the gym there. We're hoping to see a bunch of people. What are some things that you're doing? We have barbecues. We have stuff like that. Getting people together to work out, meeting, and just introducing people, right? So SWIFT, our body language acronym, one of the letters is for, friendships, find a friend, foster friendships, right? The F in SWIFT. And that means like literally like somebody comes in to work out, hey Joe, this is Dan. Dan's been a client here for a long time. Like, you're going to warm up with him because he knows what he's doing. So, hey, introduce the two of them. Hey Dan, I'm Joe. Nice to meet you. Oh, Joe, you're going to love it here, right? Are you fostering friendships? Are you taking the time to introduce new clients to your community? Have you literally show ponying them around the gym and introduced them to a couple of your key members that have been with you a long time? Do they know what services you have? Have you taken the extra time to do that? Have you connected? The cool thing about our gym, because we do such a great job of building community, is that so many little groups of like friendships have built up. And I look at even some odd couples like Kenny P and the OGs, Pete Witt. They're like close friends with Liz and Brandy and some of that. Like, Pete and Liz go golfing all the time now. They met at the gym. It's like hilarious, right? And it's so cool to see that, right? And there's so many of those little cliques that have been built up in the gym just by training together, coming to an event. Maybe you don't get to talk to some. Maybe you're a 6 a.m.er and you come at Monday, Wednesday, Friday at 6 a.m. And so you never know that there's an entire life outside of your small group that you come to. And then you have a summer barbecue and you get to meet the other members of the community and you connect with somebody that comes at 7 p.m., right? And it's like, so if you don't do those things, it's hard to get people together. And then the last thing is just, proactive strategies. And in a sense, like Dan talked about it a little bit earlier, but don't wait for cancellations, right? If you see attendance tracking trending downward, that's a sign.
On that point, you mentioned it earlier. Life and schedule. Think about the majority of people we train. For us, it's kids and their parents. So let's say 12 to 17 and 35 and up. Those are the two sections of people, right? Like, let's say 35 to 65, or let's call it 35 to 65 is fine, and 12 to 17. Like, so many sports and school obligations. 35 to 65, you're parenting children, you're at tournaments, all this other stuff. Let's say you miss one session and Then the next week you miss 2. And then the next week you're like, oh, man, I don't know. Most of the time, this constraint is scheduling. That's it. And people want to, A, probably bitch about their schedule and how busy they are. But then B, they're looking for somebody to help rearrange what they can do. And a lot of times, like, it's amazing to me how many clients have no idea what our training times are. They just go on the app and they're like, oh, that one's open. But it could go a long way if you say to somebody like, hey, Dana, did you know that we have 7:30 a.m. open as an option on Saturdays? Oh, no, I didn't know that. Hey, look, this is what I'm going to do. It usually fills up really fast. I'm going to book you into that session the next 3 weeks manually. So you know that that's going to be an anchor. We're going to clear the airwaves. Can you make sure your home schedule, you're going to be fine to do that session? Yeah, absolutely. Okay. So let's just check off those wins for the next 3 weeks. Let's rebuild the habit of you at least being able to get to one session. And you're selling a solution for the problem that they have. And the majority of people in this busy category, it comes down to managing their time. That's what it is. Yeah. It's managing their time to get to the gym. So how can we make it a little bit easier and kind of talk them through, really just reiterate to them, Joe, it's 2 hours a week.
Yep.
Like, these are our training times. What do you need my help with? Do you need me to manually book you in? Do you need me to download the app for you? What can I do? And a lot of times, for some people even, yesterday I was getting a haircut. Lon the barber, I've talked about him before. He changed the app. I'm like, why'd you do this to me? He's like, Dan, don't worry. I'll show you. He walked me through it for 5 minutes. That's all I needed. I wasn't going anywhere, but now I know how to use it. I'm not frustrated anymore.
Yeah.
So
I hate technological change. Look, most of the people that are paying for small group training or private training in most facilities, other than athletes, are 35 to 65-year-old adults. A lot of them are not that tech savvy, and they don't want to be bothered. Like, I'm trying to work out. I don't want to have a computer science degree to figure out your app, right? So here's a couple key performance indicators for attrition that you can look at as let's call them upward and downward trends. We talked about attendance. That's probably the number one indicator. If attendance is waning over time, that's usually a good indicator that there's some issue. Number 2 is no goal setting, like they're just aloof or not wanting to, or they just haven't set a goal and you don't have a metric in place to on like your training board, like, hey, what's Dan's new goal for this quarter type of stuff. What we refer to as low GSF for community stuff, meaning their give a shit factor for coming to a Christmas party, barbecue, or something like that is non-existent. They don't come to anything, and they don't want to integrate or assimilate into the community side. They're just kind of lone wolves.
And if you don't have it, you need it.
Right.
Like, you need something for them to come to.
Another big one, and I think this is a little bit more of a perception issue that, like, again, where maybe me and you might be more in tune to this, is people who have been doing it a lot longer, but what I call is like disconnected during their sessions, right? If you have clients who have their headphones in during a session and they're not paying attention, or they don't talk to nobody and they never say hello or goodbye, like, that's a red flag. Because now some people don't need a cheerleader up their butt all day, every day. Some people are a little bit more introverted, and that's okay. But what I'm talking about is just like a very low, like, I don't give a shit, I'm just here to work out type of attitude. And in our style of community gyms, that's usually a sign that this person isn't going to be a long-time member. We have to figure out a way that gets them excited, it gets them out of their comfort zone. And there's been lots of clients who are turned into great clients that were super quiet, came off a little standoffish at first, didn't talk to nobody. And it took a while to find the right, like, keys to punch, in a sense, like to get them to be excited about, like, being part of the community.
Build their trust.
Yeah, build their trust, right? So those are really the big key, like, playbook strategies and being proactive. So here's a little story, right? Like, one of our gyms recently, and we could tell 10 of these stories because it happens all the time, but they added a quarterly review process into their business. Nothing fancy, but they just made it militant, where, like, every member is going to get a call once a quarter, and we're going to reset their goals. We're going to look at their training, and we're going to sit them down, like, what do you want to work on? Where are you at? Where are your roadblocks? Like, do you need help with your nutrition? It's just literally just basically like that first intake session over again. Let's get an in-body scan. Let's do a little chat about where your goals are and what you're going to do. And their average client lifespan jumped by about 7 months, right? which is ginormous.
Huge.
And that's worth they're about $300 a month, their product. So that's about $2,100 right there from each client. Now, if you did that across the board, now obviously it's not going to be at 100%, but we're just using round numbers here. If you got 100 members and every member stayed another 7 months, that's $210,000 right there, just for taking 15 minutes to talk to each person once a quarter. That's 4 meetings a year. Right, with 100 people, so it sounds like a lot of work, but as you lay it out, like it's not that big of a deal.
We've given a lot of tactics here. The one thing that I want to really drive home is I'd rather see people pick one of them and tend to that garden like aggressively. So let's just say, hey, I'm going to do goal setting sessions. I'm going to do one goal setting session for every client in your gym. Okay, like just do that. If you just do that and you do it really well, it's just not a good idea to pick all the ideas, do them once and never do them again. We want to build consistency in what we do.
Yep.
And if you say you're going to do something, do it.
Do it. Now, here's what I want. I'm going to give you a couple things. So I'll give you a couple ideas. Here's what I want you to do this week, listeners. Number one, run a 90-day attendance report, like Dan said. Last 90 days, how many clients you've lost in the last 3 months? What's the average usage? Who's coming? Who's not? Are there trend lines that you see? Oh shit, Dan used to be here every day. I saw Dan 5-6 days a week. Now I noticed over the last 3 months he's only been here like once or twice a week. That's a sign. Give Dan a call, right? 2, call a couple. When was the last time, and we're pretty good at this now. Now we're implementing exit surveys and things like that. We call people regularly to get them back. But like call a couple former clients that you had good relationships with that left for no other reason other than life hit them in the face and ask them why. Like, what happened? What'd you do? You're going to learn a lot more from speaking to a former client about why they left and what some of the roadblocks that they're facing than you're ever going to get from some survey, right? And I really think that's picking up the phone when people leave. It's part fear. Why people don't do that? Because they don't want that fear. Maybe they don't want the truth, right? Maybe because a client left and he said that life got in the way, but then they call him and they're like, you know what, man, like, everything was great. It was mostly financial, but, and then you get the truth, right? And then it's like, like I came a whole bunch of times. Trainer's always 5 minutes late every time. I'm a 6 a.m. guy. I got to be out the door on time, 6:55. I got to get to work. If I don't get home at 7:10 to shower and change, I'm not going to make the train. Trainer's 5 minutes late every time. By the time they got warmed up, lights on, everything moving, it's 10 after 6. I just felt like they were more worried about their time than my time. And that happened, a dozen times over the course of a 6-month period. And I just want to go, I went to another gym that opened up at 5 o'clock, so I didn't have to worry about that. And it's like, oh shit. So I'm so sorry about that. You know what I mean? So there's always a little bit of a secondary reason. People default on time and money, but there's usually a lot. There's usually, like I said, it's usually the erosion of trust. And last but not least, put a new retention habit in place, whatever that is, with client of the month, progress reports, 90-day review, handwritten notes. We are community notes. We do handwritten letters to new clients, stuff like that. Like, try something, pick something. Like Dan said, attendance report. I'm going to write 3 handwritten notes a week. Do that for 52 weeks. Measure attendance for 52 weeks. Send 3 handwritten cards to members for 52 weeks. Maybe do a client of the month. That's so easy. You could even plus one that. Identify your client of the month. Write them a nice handwritten card, get them a little gift. That's your 1, 2, 3 punch right there, right? And you're on your way. But these small improvements really, really compound over a long period of time. And they have to be, like Dan said, they have to become something that you just do habitually. So churn and attrition is really the silent killer in most gyms. And it was one of the biggest blind spots that we had as a business. And we were doing $1 million before. We were already $1 million gym before we started even measuring attrition, which is crazy, right? And it doesn't have to be, it doesn't have to be you guys. So retention is revenue, period. And if you want the retention, if you want to improve your retention and you want more strategies like this, again, as always, head over to businessofstrength.com, book a free consult call with one of the coaches there. Come to one of our events. You'll learn so much. You'll meet other gym owners. We've all lived this too. Again, we are not anomalies. I always jokingly say if 2 meatheads from Jersey could do it and figure it out, you guys can do it. There's 100% people listening right now who are way smarter than we are, who have way better business acumen than we do. You're just not putting the dots together. So you guys got to, a lot of times it's just getting some outside eyes on your business. So thanks for tuning in. And remember, strong businesses are built on strong relationships. We'll see you next time.
See you, everybody.